Bud Sabatino was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, attended Brooklyn Technical High School and Polytechnic Institute of NYU, where he attained a BS in Aerospace Engineering. After school, Vought Aircraft employed him in Dallas, Texas. On a fluke, Bud attended a casting session for a local Dallas sketch comedy show. He was offered a part in the ensemble cast and asked to write for the show. The show never took off, but Bud decided to pursue acting in his spare time. His first paying gig was a Hardee's commercial, and then was cast in Born on the 4th of July, which was shot in Dallas. You may know him in his work from things like Pacific Station, Civil Wars, Mad About You, General Hospital, Scrubs, or one of my favorites, Life After Beth. But us Quantum Leap fans know him as Sam's reflection in the episode Leap of Faith, where he played the Leapee, Father Frank Pistano. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm very excited to talk to you. Can we start by just tell me everything that you remember? I know it was about 25 years ago or so, but the whole process of filming your part of the Leapee, Father Frank Pistano, on the Quantum Leap episode Leap of Faith.
Yeah, I got a call back at Universal, and I wind up on a lot, and I got lost, and I'm walking down this alleyway, and I see this guy approaching, and he looked kind of familiar. And as we crossed our paths, we both nodded and said hello and smiled and kept going. Well, I finally get to the callback, and the casting director tells me, "Oh, you're just in time. Mr. Whitmore has been waiting for you." I walk in, and it's the same guy that I just crossed in this alleyway. And Mr. Whitmore just jumps up and goes, "Hey, Bud, long time no see." And I knew he was going to be a character. And, we just did a little improv, and the casting director just looked at Mr. Whitmore and said, "You know Bud?" And he goes, "Oh, yeah, we go back a long ways." That was my introduction to that episode of Quantum Leap, was through James Whitmore Jr.
And he was the director, right?
Yes, he was the director of the episode, and he told me, he says, "I'll see you in a few days." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, I'll see you in a few days, James." And I left and just, kind of swept it under the rug. And, that night my agent called me up and said, "Hey, you're going to work in a few days." So that was my introduction.
That's awesome. How many days did you do on there? Because I know you did the church room scene and the bar scene.
Yeah, I can't remember. It was either 2 or 3 days I was on set.
One thing I'm always curious about, we've done a lot of interviews, but it's with people that have been on the show, but very few people have spoken to us about the actual mirror shots and how they're accomplished. Was that difficult to set up different angles, or how did that work out?
For me, it was quite easy. I mean, I don't think it was that hard technically from, the camera position, but they actually had a mirror there, and depending on the scene, I think the one scene was, I was in an office sitting down, and they had a full-length mirror. The bar scene was a mirror behind the bar, so they just shot everything through the mirror. They were actually using mirrors.
Oh, very, very cool.
Yeah.
What's your recollection of the atmosphere on the set and how everything, how did you feel filming it?
Oh, it was great. When I actually showed up, Mr. Whitmore, again, just a happy-go-lucky guy to me, and he introduced me to, I can't remember the other character's name of the older priest that was the alcoholic, but the actor's name is Sandy McPeak. He was an old character actor. He's since passed. And Sandy and Mr. Whitmore had been friends for a long time, and the both of them just made me feel right at home. We were just cracking jokes and having a good time, and it was kind of like old home week, even though I didn't know him.
Awesome. What was it like wearing a priest outfit and different things like that?
Yeah, wearing the priest outfit was no different. I'm an old altar boy.
Oh, cool.
So I used to wear the vestments for the at church and stuff like that. Not specifically the priest vestments, but altar boy vestments.
Awesome. You've had a long career. There's a lot of things on your resume and your IMDb I've seen. So you keep really busy, it seems like. I just recently checked out the Life After Beth movie. I thought you were quite funny in that.
Oh, thanks. You could tell through the makeup, huh?
Yeah. Is it giving too much away to tell what your character is in that movie?
Oh, I don't care. It's I'm just a zombie, basically, that I come back from the dead and I don't realize I'm a zombie. It's not one of these people that just walk around in a daze, but I go back to my house with my wife and I'm amazed that there's these strange people in my house. And I've been dead for 20 years.
Yeah. Very funny lines, you and the woman who played your wife also in that scene. Thanks.
Thanks.
You're a very smart person. I saw on your website that you were an aerospace engineer.
Yeah. I originally wanted to be an aerospace engineer since I was a little kid. So that's what I did. I got into aerospace. I went to school and got my degree and got a job, and that's what I do on the side.
Wow. And how did that turn into acting?
I was kind of talked into going to an audition. I was working for a company down in Dallas called Vought Aircraft, and somebody talked me into going to an audition for a show like Saturday Night Live. And I didn't have anything prepared, so I just ad-libbed, and I guess they were impressed with my ad-lib that they wanted me to write for the show. And long story short, there was no money involved. The money fell through. But what I did notice was all the good-looking women, so I figured I had to take an acting class instead of trying to go to bars to meet women. So I really got into the acting to meet women, and then people started paying me for it, and I'm like, oh, okay.
That's not bad. That's why I went to home ec when I was in school.
You were a ringer.
Yeah, exactly. Much better than physical education.
Yeah.
Cooking and sewing with 25 girls.
That's right. There's nothing wrong with that.
I noticed you filmed a little bit on Born on the 4th of July.
Yep, that was the first movie I ever did, and it was shot down in Dallas. Interesting movie to work on because it's directed by Oliver Stone, and it really opened my eyes to the whole industry and what a director really is. And it was a good job. It really was.
Very cool. Scrubs you were on. I love Scrubs. That's one of my favorite shows. I always watch it every time it was on, brand new.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, I'll tell you what, every show I've ever done, every play I've ever done, I've always had a good time. It's playing, and that's the best part. They pay you to play. So can't complain.
That's awesome. Stage work. I noticed you do a lot of stage work.
Yeah. I actually started in Dallas, Texas. Was at a workshop with a casting director, and they talked about actors doing stage, and I had, no idea or direction doing stage work, but I started doing stage in Dallas, and live performances will hook you. It's amazing. It's a lot of fun. If anything can be said about acting, you got to do stage. Stage will train you for a lot of things, keep you on your toes, and that's where the real fun is.
Is it just the crowd and the instant reaction you get?
Yeah, pretty much the instant reaction. You could be doing a comedy and you could hear a pin drop and you're laying an egg, but but it's even more than that. It's like you have to know your lines, or if you don't know your lines, or somebody drops stuff, you really have to be good at improv. And it really gets you into that groove of listening to the other actor. And that's the trick. That's the key of acting, is to listen to your partner or what's going on with the scene, because you never know. You might have to come up with something, or that's how at least I remember my lines is, oh, so-and-so said something. My response has got to be whatever, because that's my motivation in the scene. So it's a combination of a lot of things working on the stage. It's like flying by the seat of your pants.
It really is, because there's only one shot and no retakes, right?
Yeah. And, there's been a few times where you goof up, whether it's me or somebody else, and, the audience catches it, but they're having so much fun that it doesn't matter. They know it's a live performance, and everybody has fun, the audience and the actors on stage.
Do you have some favorite plays or parts you've been in?
Yeah, I guess the first play I ever did was Harvey, and I played Mr. Wilson.
I've never seen it live. How is it different from the movie? It's based on the movie, right?
No, actually, the play came first, then the movie.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, most of the stuff is, especially the older stuff, the play came first and then the movie. And in fact, I don't even think I saw the movie when I auditioned for the part. And they had a special screening for everybody in the cast while we were rehearsing, and I figured, well, this is my first play. I don't want to see the movie. I want to be who I am instead of whoever the character is. And the character was played by an old character actor, Jesse White. I believe he played the character on Broadway himself and the movie. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And geez, I can't. I'll tell you what. I think every play I've done, I've just had a lot of fun with. Every once in a while you meet somebody that behind the scenes that you don't get along with, but you have to get along with. But the overall experiences from every play I've done has just been positive and fun, and you want to go do the work.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You don't want to work with people that aren't fun to work with.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting out here in Hollywood. A lot of the people, they're not really theater conscious out here. Everybody wants to watch television or a movie. So there's really not a lot of good theater out here. And even the actors out here, they don't look at doing theater work as work, but it really is. It's the best classroom you could ever have. It's better than taking a class.
Do you feel like you're constantly learning even still?
Oh, yeah. I mean, even when I'm doing engineering work, dealing with people in different situations, or everything crosses over. I mean, I'm looking at the way I interact with people and the different characters and the nuances and stuff like that. I mean, real life just spills over into the acting. So even, your real life experience you take into do the play or the TV show or what have you. And it's really interesting because I did a play and one of the guys was complaining about staying up late and memorizing lines. And I looked at him and I said, you know what? This beats digging a ditch.
Any day.
And this guy looks at me. He goes, I've heard that term before, but I don't know what that means. I said, what do you do for a living? He goes, I'm an actor, but I wait tables. I'm like, you dig a hole straight down, and then you dig in a line how many feet they want you to dig, and that's what you do all day. And he's like, have you done that? And I said, yeah, I'm doing it today because I ain't got no other jobs. I have to put food on the table, so I'm digging ditches during the day. And he's just like amazed. And I'm like, if you don't have this broad background of life experience, how could you really be a good actor? I mean, that's why you look at some of these young actors. I mean, Leonardo Dicaprio at the time when I first got out here, I don't know how much older I am than DiCaprio, but it was like, I look at him back then and he was a good actor, and you look at him today and you could see how far he's grown. And it's because of all of his life experiences, all of, his dealings with other actors, directors, whether he's doing some kind of a charity work. It all feeds into your acting because it's part of you and it comes out of you. So, just to stand up there and say, well, I'm an actor, it really just doesn't wash, because people will look at you and go, I don't believe that you could play a lawyer and you're 15 because you don't have those experiences yet. You could try, but you're not as good as when you're 30, 40, 50 years old. So you're always learning, and that's part of the craft, is bringing all of those experiences to the table.
Speaking of Leonardo DiCaprio, you worked with his co-star from Titanic in this episode. Did you have any filming days with him, like in the bar or anything?
You talking about Danny Nucci?
Yes.
Yeah, he was there, and I got to talk with him and stuff like that, but we didn't really have a scene so much dialogue. The scene was, I think, if I remember correctly, Scott Bakula basically beats the crap out of Danny in the scene, because I think Danny breaks a beer bottle or something like that to attack my character. So that was the extent of the actual acting interaction. But off stage and stuff like that, we were just talking. He was a nice guy.
That's awesome. Were Scott and Dean good to you?
They kind of kept to themselves. I'm not the type of guy to go up to the stars of the show and just start chatting with them. So they stood off by themselves, and I talked to them when they wanted to talk to me, and that was it.
In the bar scene, was it a thing where Scott had to step out of frame and you stepped into the frame, or was it just different setups? Or
he did step in and step out a few times, but most of the time our backs were actually up against each other, so I was mimicking what Scott was doing.
Is that difficult?
Yes and no. I guess in a way, a lot of acting, especially for film, TV, and commercials, there's a lot of technical aspects involved versus just acting, being on your mark all the time. So it's kind of like, I think in a way, sometimes I'm blessed with the mechanical mind, being an engineer of, okay, you want this action done in a certain way, and I could kind of mimic it because I guess I get into my engineering mind or something like that. I don't know. But it really is interesting because we didn't take a lot of takes in the scene, but it could turn out to be a lot of takes if you just don't get it right, because it is very technical.
I can see that. You have some cool hobbies, welding and knitting, which is cool. I like knit. I checked out your knitting on your website. That was pretty cool. I've done some knitting and crocheting. I'm not very good at either, but I've tried it.
Right.
Does the welding come from just having an engineering background and liking to make things?
Well, it was born out of a friend of mine asked me to design a fixture to ship landing gear for a contract. So I designed it, and it was basically a company that came in and said, we're going to give you the contract for a go-ahead. And my friend told me, he says, I need you to come into the shop and help me build this. And he taught me how to weld, and I fell into another job of being a welder. So I'd work on stuff with him, different jobs besides the shipping fixtures. And so if the acting is slow or the engineering is slow, I'm also a welder. I'll go into the shop and do welding. Yeah.
Very cool. It's something that I always wanted to do. I just never had the opportunity. But
yeah, and it's very artistic. I mean, it's you could sit there and it's a very simplistic process, but at the same time, until it kicks in, you really don't know what you're doing, because I was welding for a good month or so, and it's not until it was like, oh, that's what I'm really looking at. And then the welding really got better after that point, because it was all mechanical versus being artistic. And a lot of welders, good welders, are very artistic.
I would think knowing how to weld, you would feel like you could just make anything.
Oh, yeah. Well,
It's like a superpower to me anyway. You have some different things I'm interested in. I like all kinds of cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I see you still have some projects coming out. One's in pre-production, one's in post-production. Could you tell us a little bit about that stuff you have coming up?
Yeah, I think the one has been going on for years. I don't know what's going on with that. I shot that probably about 5 or 6 years ago, and the post-production one, I believe he wants to get it out this summer sometime, and it's a low-budget movie that it really was labor of love. I just had a good feeling about the writer and the director, and then everybody in the cast and everybody who worked on it, and it's been, I think it was filmed over a period of 1.5 years, and he finished it up about 2-3 months ago. So I think he wants to get it out soon and see where it goes. It's all spec.
And what's it called so people can look for it?
The Unexpected Guest.
All right. Who do you play?
I play Lieutenant Johnson. I play a cop. So
you've done that before. I saw that on your demo reel with Arresting Santa Claus.
Yeah. Well, he was the type of Santa Claus that needed to be beaten after he got arrested. So
it looked like you played a few cops. Does that come with having the ability to have the Boston accent and all that?
Well, it's not a Boston accent. I'm from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, sorry. I'll go back, because that might bother some people.
No, leave it in there, because the people from Brooklyn would go, "Hey, what's wrong with this guy?"
Okay. Is that come from having the Brooklyn accent, or is it more just like your type of role?
I think it's more my type. I don't think it's got anything to do with my accent, because I've got friends out here that come from New York and they play gangsters, so it's got nothing to do with the voice. It's more the demeanor and the type of characters that you recognize yourself in. So there's been projects that I think I take more of an authoritative position for the characters. That's what I get cast in.
I can see that, I guess. Do you have favorite types of characters to play?
Gee.
Or
no.
Is it?
I mean, I like comedy better, but it's like most people want to cast me in drama versus comedy, and I just love comedy. I grew up with the Three Stooges and Abbott and Costello, Laurel and Hardee, the Marx Brothers and stuff like that, and it's just comedy makes everybody laugh, and making everybody laugh is a good thing.
Make them laugh, right?
That's it. That's it.
Yeah. One question I like to ask people is there anything that you've done that people might not have seen that you would, if they're a fan of your work and they like you, they'd go seek out and find?
Gee, that's a tough question. No, not really. I can't answer that one. Okay, you stumped me.
But we'll go back to Quantum Leap a little bit. Could you tell me about the filming days and where it was filmed, and if it was on a soundstage and where it was, and what it was like, and the hours you put in?
Yeah, it was all filmed at Universal, right on the lot. I can't remember the stage number, but it's really interesting how they have the backdrops and stuff like that, and when you see the finished product, if there's like a window or something like that, it looks like you're looking out a regular window, but it's really a painted screen right behind the windows and stuff. So everything was shot on the soundstage, and I can't remember. I don't believe that the days were very long. I think they were like 10-hour days, because you got to get there and they got to get you into makeup, and nobody ever really spends a lot of makeup on me. They just put a lot of powder on so that my bald head doesn't shine. And, make sure that wardrobe is okay. And a lot of times you're just sitting around waiting because, setting up the camera and the lights and stuff like that takes most of the time. And then the actual shooting of the scenes is very quick. There's only one time that I spent 50-something takes on a commercial, but a lot of times, scenes in TV, movie, and commercials, they don't take, 50 takes. It's
50 takes. Well, what commercial was that for?
That was for Coca-Cola, and it got interesting. I mean, they were running out of ideas, and they were trying to mix things up, so I was doing a lot of ad-libbing and stuff like that.
Very cool. Did you ever see the final product of the episode, A Leap of Faith?
I saw it when it came out. But
what do you think of it?
Oh, I liked it. I mean, I can't watch myself and go and be objective. I just look at myself on the TV screen or, the big screen and go, geez, what am I doing there? I mean, it's like looking in the mirror. I shave every day, so I just can't be objective looking at myself. But the actual product, I mean, Quantum Leap was such a great show. Great concept, and it just well written, and acting, and everything was great about the show. So I don't think there was ever a bad episode.
I can't think of one.
No.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show, and I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me. And it was very cool to learn about your life and the filming of Quantum Leap, and I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for asking me, and good luck with the podcast. And I just had a good time with you. You sound like somebody I'd go have a beer with.